Nancy's Jew sheets are cheap, easy to use, and catch dew like a lashworm catches a juve. Don't take our word for it, listen to these testimonials from our customers.
Well, I was down by the sump sea and fell through some decaying flakboard last season and landed 7 levels down. Luckily, a pile of trash broke my fall. After I slaughtered the corridor scum rummaging the trash and giving them a hard raj, I thought I was plumb out of luck and would die down there. But luckily, I had my dew sheet from Nancy's, and I was able to collect enough water to survive the trek out of there. I've been prospecting my whole life, and Nancy's never let me down.
Yeah, hey, I used one of Nancy's Jew sheets when I was doing the walk between Rusty Truss and Shadowhabs last cycle. It not only collected dew, but it was also super silent, so no giant rats heard me and chewed off my face while I slept next to it. Nancy's Jew sheets are the only Jew sheets I trust. Certainly wouldn't bother with those inferior drop sheets because I've heard they're very loud and call in giant rats. I really like her brand of filtration flasks, too. Takes not only the deadly toxins out, but also at least half of the shit taste. So don't be a green hiver, get your dew sheet, rad tabs, filtration flasks, thermal blankets, scorp snares, shriekers, and bar boosters for Nancy's today.
Alright, welcome to Necromunda Fast Shot. Episode 8, Underhive Mystery Shopping 3, Outlaw Trading Post Part 2. So don't think too much about that heading. So in the last episode, I had Sean and Liam on, and they've rejoined me tonight via the internet. How are you, Sean, first of all, so you don't talk over each other?
I am well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. And Liam, how are you?
I am well. Thanks for having me.
It would
Good.
have been awkward if we had to talk at the same time.
Yeah, you would have said exactly the same thing, like twins, like creepy twins. Good. Thank you for having me.
Creepy twins.
You start a whole bunch
Yeah,
more.
we could be like Etten. You wouldn't know, would you?
Yeah, so you start a whole new thing. All right. Last episode, we talked about all the weapons from the Book of Judgment, and we talked about the Book of Judgment itself as well, and did a shout out for that. Great book. Fucking get some. But before we do the episode tonight, just because it might be a little while before we get to do a gangbang, because whenever Robbie's in town, we always say we're going to do an episode, but then he falls asleep because he's the new sleepiest boy. Can't stay up past six in the afternoon or whatever his crazy sleeping schedule is. But I want to just quickly talk about the Delac Book of Shadow. So your stuff's arrived in the mail now, Sean. Your Book of Shadow stuff.
I've received it. Yep.
So you've been pouring through the physical book?
Yeah.
How would you rate the book? Just in terms of books being nice. Is it nicely done? Same quality?
Yeah, same quality. I did put it on my shelf, and it is thinner than House of Chains.
Thinner. Well, I guess House of Chains does have... Wait, does it have the same number of pages?
No.
Oh,
well, I guess House of Chains has Ogryns, so...
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I was about to say, if it had the same number of pages, but it was thinner, I was going to say, holy shit, they're using thinner paper? What the fuck? Or maybe the cover is thicker or something, but yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense. I guess, they didn't want to just, put in some extra pages and they didn't want to make, an extra list. A Piskin list.
No, I'm not complaining. I mean, it's got everything I need. It's got lots of cool new artwork of sneaky Delac going through shadows and stealing people's faces and whatnot.
Yeah, I've been reading it on my iPad, but the iTunes version, obviously, like I always talk about, just free shill for iTunes. One day Steve Jobs is going to give me some money, I swear. Nobody tell me anything different. What about you, Liam? If you've read through it, what do you think? How do you feel
I think it's great. They really differentiate them a lot more than they used to be. Kind of bald-headed weirdos in trench coats, and now they've really got their own niche. They've got their own style. They've got their spoopy backstory. And even though I'm not playing them in this season, I'm going to be using something from that book.
Ooh.
Interesting.
That's right. I was really compelled by one of the new allies, and I think that they would be a great fit for my pit slave gang.
Yeah, I'm hoping that you didn't just go for the only thing that has a katana in this book straight away.
Sorry, you mean a katana?
All right, well, milady.
Milady.
All right, well, yeah, okay. So have you started building those guys? What are they called? Oni Yoga
Yeah.
or something? What are they called?
Oh, his name. Yeah.
Oh no, you answer.
Are
Sean.
you both doing them? You're both going to make like
No. I thought you were talking about the new box. So I built a Saigeist and a Nacht Ghoul, and I have built a Piscean Spectre.
And how did you find the new box? Did you like all the options and the way they fit together?
There isn't heaps of different options, and I found it. I reckon it's probably one of the fiddliest, most challenging plastic boxes I've put together.
It's just like an age 12 and up instead of an age 8 and up.
Sorry?
It's an age 12 and up instead of an age 8 and up.
Yeah, pretty much. But I wanted to I wanted to have the Saigeist with the Psychomancer's harness, but I really hated the pose of the one that's like standing on a thing like it's falling off.
Like
and
flying nun pose, yeah.
Yeah, the arms are behind it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this should be fine. I'll just like not have it doing that and put the arms facing forward. And that proved more difficult than I expected. But I think I pulled it off. But yeah, there was very small pieces that needed to very finely twist around, and some bits in the, like, even following the instructions, you're like, how the fuck does that even...
What am I doing? Yeah, sometimes I go to their website just to look at the 360 picture of models and just go, what the fuck? Oh, that goes there. What the heck?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. I was rotating the 360 models all the time to figure out how it actually stuck together. I'm like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
So those little like hip plates on custodes, I was always just like, what the fuck are these for? Like, where do they go? I don't understand. I had to literally go and look at pictures and go, oh, they're little like flappy hippie boy bits.
Yeah, there's these bits on the Flash Gits models. They've got like a strap that like holds that basically they're wearing their gun like strapped around them. I'm just like, this strap's just way too hard to put on. I'm just not going to put it on, and no one will ever notice. It's like, it's just too hard.
Sometimes you gotta leave bits off. So you're running a Saigeist with the flying harness?
Yeah.
What does it come with weapons? Is the harness?
Yeah, so the harness is weapon. So it gives it like +2 movement and clamber, and then it also counts as having paired Psychomancer's claws, whatever they're called, that are basically the same weapons that the Piscean Spectre has, but obviously not as good because you're in a like.
Oh, so it just gives it clamber. It doesn't give it flight?
No, it doesn't give it flight. It gives it clamber.
Oh, well, who gives a fuck about it standing on a light post or something? You could just strap that shit to the back of just a normal guy, right? And be like, clambers when he clambers. At the moment, he's just standing there, like, looking at his watch or something.
Yeah, like, I do admire the way they've designed this set because bits from different models, they sort of swap and change to make the various models, so you don't get many spare pieces. But they like combine in different ways to make the different dudes. Yeah,
so I've heard that you can, if you decide not to make a Saigeist, which I'm not going to do because Saigeist, you can make 2 Piscean Spectres.
Yeah,
because it's just 2 of the same sprue, right? There's 1 sprue times 2.
Yeah,
and if that makes 1 Spectre, then it should make. Yeah. It has to make 2 Spectres, right?
No, actually.
What?
Now I think about it. So the Spectre's got like 4 arms.
But can you make up a single Spectre from a single sprue?
No.
What? So
both sprues to make a single Spectre. So you get like
what?
So yeah, it's got like 2 small arms and 2 big arms. The 2 small arms are the same ones that the Sidegeist has.
Yeah.
So they like chop and change, and then the 2 big ones, there's 1 on each sprue.
So what do you do with the other Piskin, Spectre, Torso, and all the rest of the shit that is it?
That's the only spare bit you get, the torso. All the rest of the bits you can use.
Oh, what a strange design.
So yeah, I'll have a spare torso which I can use as like one of the terrain bits or something.
Well, what I was thinking of doing, I thought you could just make 2, which I was like, oh yeah, I'll just make 2 of them. But to sort of change them up, I was thinking of getting some of the, like stabby injector arms and all that sort of shit from like is it Talos? Dark Eldar Talos?
Yeah.
Whatever the
Well, you
fuck
could definitely
Dark Eldar
swap in a
called.
different arm, and that would work.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to build it just like it is in the box, you can only build 1. But yeah, I think that's interesting the way they've designed it to be sort of, I don't know, economical.
It's a bit of
with how the
waste
parts are.
though. Like, it seems like if you just you're putting an extra torso on that sprue that you can't do shit with. Like, they've never done that before. They never just put like nonsense, useless shit on. Oh, I guess the track sprue, the old track sprue from Chimeras. Like, you wouldn't use all of the stuff on that sprue. So there's some wastage there, but it is weird. Maybe you can use the extra Piskin bit to make something else. Maybe I'm sure there'll be like, we'll see it turning up in
like
all kinds of crazy fucking.
Yeah, it's basically a blobby, like a sort of brain connected up to something. You could probably even just use it as a spiker, as is.
Yeah. Interesting. And then you've done up a list, right? You've done a list up for.
I have. Yep, I got my list ready to go. We're starting the campaign this week, so putting the finishing touches on my dudes now.
How many lists did you have? How many drafts?
Well, I drew up 1 without the new shit in case my stuff didn't arrive in time or I didn't get it finished painting in time. But then I was just like, oh well, I want to try this, see what I can fit in, and like fitting in with my existing models. I think just in terms of like things they've changed in the new book is that now, like, the big controversy is that Delac don't get shooting as a primary skill anymore.
Yeah.
Which like I relied on a lot. So just thinking of different ways that I can sort of run the same dudes that I've already built that I like, but making them still like
I think the Piskin will be the new crutch. It's going to be Piskin fishy crutches all around for Delac players. That was a big shock when they didn't have shooting as primary anymore. I was pretty like, whoa. But I mean, before that, they were just sort of like dudes who were good at shooting you in the dark if they took goggles and stuff. Like, it's anyone could fucking have shooting, like, and anyone could buy goggles. So I think they're really like, if anyone who doesn't know what the fluff is, they've really fucking amped up like the crazy fucking cyberpunkness of it. Like, for example, I don't want to give spoilers away because people should go and grab the book, grab it on iTunes. Thanks, Steve Jobs. Getting my Steve Jobs check soon. Grab it and just to read through the fluff, it's fucking amazing. They've really like fucking changed it up. Like, when you think about how Goliath went from just being like, oh, they're just like big jack dudes and they do stuff, to like what they are now, which is like crazy fucking science experiment shit with and running like all the industry and like all the crazy shit that they've added in. They've done that same thing. Like, they've totally revamped like Delac and made them like, instead of just like creepy darkness shooting guys, they're like way more fucking horrific, and their like fluff is way more mind blowing. So super like Dark City style shit. Like
definitely
mega creepy.
I'm not too sad that they lost shooting because they are like they've given them a lot of cool close combat options.
Yeah. And also, like, when I got the book on my iTunes, I sent Andy and found out about the, what's it called? The fucking what's it called? Psychoterica?
Psychoteric Whispers.
Psychoteric Whispers. There wasn't. That's not in the contents. I sent him a message saying, "Wow, super sneaky play, not putting that into not putting the secret what's it called? Psychoterica in the table of contents." And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that. Glad you enjoyed that ruse."
That was totally intentional.
Yeah. So yeah, seems like it's pretty great. We'll do a review of that eventually. We've still got to do Artifice. We've still got to do House of Faith. And then we'll get to House of Shadow. But we need to smash these out. And hopefully by the time we get to that as well, you know, we'll at least you will have played a campaign as well, Sean. So you have some field data from that.
Yeah, because as we all know, anecdotal evidence is always useful for research.
Exactly. Yep. Anecdotal. I want field. It's not even anecdotal. It's like field data. It's like we've sent out servitors and they've come back and they've gone, this is what happened. Turns out lasguns could not fucking put holes in their armor of such and such. Alright. And everybody died, that sort of thing. So, Liam, just to finish off, tell us about the thing that you're so excited about from this book, the what are they called? Onmyodo?
Yeah, so that's the new noble house is House Tai. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, so my apologies in advance.
Well, how else would you pronounce TY? Just
T,
out of quote.
it could be like a T or a toy. It could be House Toy.
The T could be silent and it's just
Yeah, or it could be like that samurai thing where could be House Toy.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
House Tai.
The House Tai are a psycho-focused house that handle communications.
Do you know they claim to be from Nippon as well?
And also possibly China.
No, what?
What a devilish combination.
Is that what it says?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! I thought it just said Nippon.
It says where is it?
Yeah, Nihon Empire and Dragon Isle of Ancient Terror.
Yeah.
What's the Dragon Isle of Ancient Terror? Is that Japan?
Well, that obviously this is a callback to their fantasy setting being in the same world as 40k. So they're saying that dragons are still possibly within the 40k universe and the Necromunda universe.
Right. Well,
Is that what this is?
I think that's
You're reading too
implicit
much
in
into
what
that.
they say there.
all right. Well,
So-
there you go. That is an opinion.
So they get some. When you're allied with them, you get some great benefits. You get some boost to being to your psychic, your psychers if you have any in your gang. But you also get a pair of your noble. What's the word for them? You get a team of psychers to assist you. One is a psychic null, and one is a telepath, and they're both very, very good, and they've got great equipment as well. So you can pick the psychic powers for your telepath, and the telepath is the leader of the pair, and then the null, obviously they've got the benefit of being able to interfere with psychic powers, and they're well equipped too with some good with a bolt gun and a power sword and mesh armor. So
Yeah, the thing I really like about this entry is just the very first is the sort of fluff bit at the top that just gives us another look at like the scale of Necromunda as well, where it says, quote, "At any one time on Necromunda, there are thousands of telepathic psychers in the employ of the Imperial House. The most powerful of these are part of the astropathic choirs of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, which conveys long-range messages from Necromunda to Terra and other far-flung worlds. Although there are many more who use their grim gifts, their grim gifts, to communicate between the noble houses or other esteemed institutions on Necromunda, blah, 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 blah." So, yeah, like thousands of psychers. So that's why, like, psychers just running around aren't, like, immediately picked up, because there's fucking just psychic shit everywhere. No wonder
as
people
far as
going
I
crazy.
understand, nulls are fabulously rare. I mean,
They're even
psychers
more rare
aren't
than
that
psychers,
common
yeah.
either.
Yeah, nulls
So-
are way more rare than psychers, yeah.
So the fact that these are built in specifically in teams, a telepath and null team, gives you a kind of idea of either the scale and scope of Necromunda within the setting, or the power that they have. the resources that
It's probably both.
they have on call. Yeah. So not to spoil too much, but I think that there's definitely stuff in this book that's of interest to anyone, whether you plan to play Delac or not. And I think that this book will convince you to play them.
Well, maybe.
Mm.
I think like the combination of the models and the book will definitely compel you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, great shit, man. Great book, and we'll cover sort of cover that when we get to that. There's so much in these books. They're amazing, pretty good. All right. Let's get on to Book of Judgment. Unless anyone else has any other Necromunda related tales or tribulations to recount.
Oh, actually, Sean, I must ask you, since we're being tantalized with the idea of there being a new gang book coming out in the near future,
Oh yeah.
have you got any theory about what it might be?
Not really. I guess thinking about like what things from old Necromunda we don't yet have. I guess there's like spikers and
You mean Spirers?
spirers. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, spirers and rat skins. I don't know.
Mm.
What are
Now
your
the-
theories?
Well, I think it's the Lords of Iron personally. The hidden power within Necromunda that continuously striving to overthrow the Imperial House and regain domination of the whole planet. That's my theory.
Did you know that they mention the Iron Lords in the like Chrono Crystal talk?
Mm.
Do you guys know about this Chrono Crystal shit? Listen, okay, so do you guys know about it?
Not specifically, no.
Okay, so
Is it one of the? It's one of the items that we'll be talking about tonight. So
oh, that's true. But let me first of all read you this a little bit though, because this has got some like maybe this will this brings up like a lot of the things that if you read through the timeline they've been talking about. Shit, where the fuck is this? Just trying to find it. So I got this thing, the Book of Law. You can download that. There's a guy who's put this together called KACPER KUC, KACPER. I think if you look him up on Instagram, you'll be able to find him. And basically he's like put together a bunch of the lore from the older books as well as the new books, and compiled it into like a lore book of lore. And it's got like all stuff from Confrontation and shit like that. But these chrono crystals that it mentions. Okay. So there's a thing. So have you... so we're going to get to like these chrono crystals a bit later on. But I'm going to read this bit. So, blah, 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 blah. So, I'll just read the whole bit, because maybe this will like cover some shit. So, only a handful of gangs and individuals have ever won one of Bald Brian's chrono crystals. Some of these crystals are still in the hands of their original owners, though many have been lost, stolen, or sold. Hagen's Hall has one above the bar, sold to Hagen to cover an outlandish drinking tab by a notable Underhive bounty hunter. Some drinkers claim the gem does strange things to the flow of time when you look at it. Though that might just be the booze. One-Eyed Kitty, a blade dancer out of 2 tunnels, has one too, given to her by an admirer. When she dances, she wears the crystal in her navel, its sparkle mesmerizing the audience. Then there's one owned by Caustus, the Chain Lord, set into the hilt of his shock lash. Its brilliance forms a stark contrast to the slaver's grimy appearance and broken grin. To most hivers, these crystals are nothing more than fancy baubles, and their owners and placement throughout the hive completely random. However, there are those who would argue otherwise. These rumor-mongers claim Bald Brian serves Dark Masters, and his crystals are part of some far-reaching plan to bring about the Chrono Cataclysm. What is the Chrono Cataclysm? Well, That varies depending on which drunken conspiracy theorist you ask. Some will tell you it is a plot by the immortal cult of Necromunda to bring about a psychic awakening of all of humanity. So that's like that immortal cult. We've heard about that before. Or perhaps a plan by the ancient Iron Lords of the Arianis continuity to free Necromunda from the yoke of the Imperium. So there's the Iron Lords mentioned again. Others whisper that Rusttown was created by House Aranthus. That Bran is in fact Bran Aranthus, last true heir of his family. So what is Aranthus? Aranthus is the house that... Weren't they the house that Delac took over?
Yeah, allegedly they were the previous House of Shadows.
Yeah. Last true heir of his family, and the crystals are intended to turn back time and restore his bloodline. There are those who say Bald Bran isn't Aranthus at all, but an agent of the throne. They suggest that his plans have already come to pass, and that they are all living in an alternative reality created by the Ordo Kronos.
Weird.
Boom! That's fucking mind-blowing fluff. I need to ask Andy Hoare or somebody at Games Workshop if that fluff is where that fluff's from. Like, is that from Confrontation? It's not from... They definitely mentioned Chrono Crystals in the new game. Chrono Crystals are actually in one of the missions as well, right?
That's right, and they're supposed to have hidden upcoming benefits.
Yeah, so... very, very interesting. I like the idea that they've created an alternative reality. The Order Kronos has created an alternative reality that Necromunda's in, just like the way Blood Bowl is part of Warhammer Fantasy, but doesn't have to fucking obey any of the rules of Warhammer Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this could be
I see where you're going. Yeah.
Necromunda being its own thing within 40k without having to have Primaris Marines, for example. But you know, very interesting, because they do mention Iron Lords and the Immortal Cult. I don't know, you know, maybe some kind of new cult called the Immortal Cult. Or maybe some, you know, what do you think the Iron Lords would be, Liam? Just like mercenaries led by an
I think they'd be tech barbarians. They would be a way of having a kind of a uniting, overarching enemy that works against law-abiding gangs. You're like a big bad guy that's always there, that doesn't follow the usual tropes of just your chaos cults or your Xenos kind of infiltration,
like the anti-enforcers.
Yeah, and have this enemy out there that continuously allies and works against the intentions of your good players, and kind of like in some games you have in some board games you have like your dungeon keeper or something similar. You know, there could be something like that to always be there, and players could function through them. Or if you have a game overseer, they could use them as a way of creating enemies for all the players, whether they're good guys or bad guys.
Alright, well, there you go. There's some fucking Chrono Crystal lore. I was just reading through Book of Lore and I got to that bit and I was like, what the devil? It's madness.
Well, even the Delac book talks about the Lords of Iron and says that they delve, too deep, looking for the secrets, and there have been people who have looked for architectural remains of the Lords of Iron who have accidentally gotten into places that the Delac consider to be sacred. So definitely,
so there could be like some sort of shadow war between the Delac and the Lords of Iron that's ongoing, which is why Helmar is just like, hey, shut the fuck up. Let's just like not worry about all their psychic like fish bots and shit. They're giant floating fucking fish killbot things, yeah. Alright, well, let's get into the fucking let's go shopping. Alright, I reckon we just go through these like one person Takes
All
one.
right, so where should we start?
Just chain through them. I reckon we just go through the armor. We don't need to do like a full. I don't want to do like a full rules read.
Mm-hmm.
But we know pretty much what most of these do. So do you want to start with a blade of overlay, Liam? Tell us, because you use this, right?
I use these on my tech barbarians back in the day.
Now, what's the price? What's the price, first of all? So 20 creds. Keep that in your mind. And it's common.
Mm-hmm. So it's you can add it to existing armor on your character. It improves their save by 2. But every time it's hit, it reduces that bonus by 1.
After you take the save.
Yeah.
So 4 plus armor would go to 2 plus, and then the second hit would get a 3 plus, and then the third hit would just be normal armor save.
Yeah.
So it doesn't regenerate during the game.
It's a cheap, great way to. I find personally that when I play Necromunda, the first 1 or 2 hits that a ganger receives, they're the ones that really change the flow of the game. Because those early hits, they can knock out one of your gangers, and then you're kind of on the back foot, and then you've got to recover, and it's all tricky from there. So having some ablative overlay really helps you to survive the first 1 or 2 hits. I really recommend it. The trick with it is, though, that it requires you to honestly mark the change in your armor class, and it seems often people misunderstand how it works, or they fail to keep a true accounting of what their armor might be. So just be aware of that. It can cause confusion.
Yeah, I think it is. There is a lot of, there is sort of confusing bookkeeping around it. It's like, it's 20 credits and it's common. That is ridiculously cheap and available for what it does.
Yeah. I think it should be one use. Like, you get those saves and then it's just stricken from your list.
But it specifically says that it basically regenerates in between games.
Well, I would suggest a house rule. Because like 20 creds to just get like +2 on your armor save, you're only going to bring that out for like special occasions. And I think that's what it should be, like when you want to go like full Ned Kelly style.
I think that makes sense, because then like it's common, so you don't have to, like, you're always going to be able to get it.
Yeah, you can just always buy some extra plates. I don't like that people take it and don't have it fucking modeled on their model. Like, it's not a WYSIWYG thing, so for me, I'm like, Like, I just wouldn't take it because I don't know. Unless I had a model where I'd specifically added extra plates on or something. Or some,
that's
or
where
some
I like
magnetized plates.
Furnace plate is a good version of this, in that you go, are you shooting from the front? If you are, then you get the +1 armor, right?
Yeah.
But with ablative overlay, it's not clear, it's not apparent. To me, I would change it to be something that is specific. And this is one of the items that
does say sophisticated gel coatings, reactive plates to more primitive furs quilted with ballistic cloth, and fragments from ruined armor pieces. I don't know. I feel like something needs to be like modeled to have that. If you want to take it,
you just gave me a good idea, because I put a magnet in the back of my leader, my Delac leader, just to be able to like give him random shit that he might come across, like Xenos weapons.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can like fashion a rig that goes over him to represent.
Do just like a Ned Kelly style helm thing.
Yeah.
You could probably get someone to 3D design it and print it.
Ooh.
And you just slide it over the top. Ding.
This has brought out the fact that there's a new kind of rule in Necromunda that's developed over time, and that is that you have your armor that you wear, and it takes up your armor slot, and then there is another additional slot for something else, and it's usually things like, say, armored undersuits or things like that.
Now, when you look at not a blade of it, there's a what's the reflex shroud? Oh no, that grants you an armor save. Okay.
Yeah, I think that is armor, but
is there something else?
Also things like, so for example, in the Delac book now, I think it is they treat, or was it the Cawdor book? But anyway, there's things like Gutterforge Cloak in some books now are treated as something that is adjacent to armor. It isn't armor. It's something you can add on top of your existing armor. Same with the pyromantic mantles and things like that. So I think that needs to be formalized in some way to prevent confusion. Now, whatever it is that ABLA overlay does, I think it's not in a good place right now and it needs to be fixed. I would say that it needs to be adjusted so that it doesn't require you to have additional bookkeeping to handle it. Whether you might say you pay 20 creds and for one game you get +1 armor or something like that, something needs to be done. Anyway, we'll keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. As a hardline WYSIWYG person, make sure you fucking model that on. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do Archaeocarapace because I'm familiar with this one. This is like the second way of getting a Robocop into your campaign. Number one is if you are using the Resurrection packages, there's basically an Archaeocarapace version. So what this is some kind of suit that you put onto a person, and it gives you an armor save of 4+. Cool. Just like Robocop. And then you also, if you suffer any of like permanent injuries, such as hand injuries, eyes, enfeeblement, etc., then it automatically like replaces that part of you. And then once you have it's like a classic Robotech. Like once you replace all your organs with robo organs, you go insane, obviously, and then just run off into the wastes. So I think it is, whenever the fighter activates, they must roll a d6. If the result is less than the number of bionics they currently have, they gain the insane condition. If the fighter ever has 6 or more bionics, they vanish into the Underhive, never to be seen again. The player must remove the fighter from their gang roster. And I would suggest that you basically like give that card to your campaign tyrant, and then the campaign tyrant just like adds 1 onto every single one of your stats, and then just brings that guy back as some sort of fucking insane NPC. He just like harasses the campaign and harasses everybody in it.
So it's not even worth getting it until... Oh, no, because then... Yeah, crazy.
Well, the last campaign I played...
Like, you have to...
I played 6 games in the last campaign, and I only had 1 permanent injury on one of my guys. So, I mean, sometimes you just don't... Like, it wouldn't be worth shit. And think about how many games you'd have to play to get that many injuries.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I think, at most you're getting, like, 2 injuries. So, yeah, then you're pretty much you're going insane every time he activates. Because you can't roll less than 1. Yeah, crazy.
Less than the number of bionics they currently have. Then they get insane. Oh, so it'd still be alright. Like, if they only had 1 bionic, they'd be normal on a 2+.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was reading that the wrong way. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense now. Okay.
I do like the theme of just, like, too many bionics drive you insane, and then you fucking just run into the waste. Definitely, like, anything with technology, where technology is involved, seems to just, like, be able to go insane, which is good, I guess. Just kind of annoying, like when we later on actually we've already covered it, and we were talking about it before the show. The Man of Iron, who also just has a chance of going insane, and then there's also the Cyber Dog, which goes insane too. So any like I guess there's like servitors and shit that don't go insane. But can you imagine just like someone selling that to you as like a way to save your life? Like, oh, what? Your fucking spine is shattered and your legs are both chopped off? Don't worry, I've got this thing. It's called a Archaeocarapace. And they're like, what the fuck does it do? And they're like, oh, basically just like slowly drives you insane. But also makes you like a Robocop for a while.
How much is it?
Who's got the price list? I do. Oh, you got it?
It is 120 credits. And it's rare 12.
I just wonder who would be worth... Like, you don't want it on anyone super pivotal, I guess, but...
It's a cool theme thing to do if you have... So what are the bonuses? Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Piston-driven rig, yada, yada, yada. 4+ save. Replaces the organs thing. Do not increase the fighter's characteristics. Unlike normal bionics, cannot be damaged or destroyed. If the fighter suffers an injury to a location already replaced by a bionic, then the injury is ignored.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. So and bionics are usually pretty expensive and or rare.
Yeah,
so
true. Yeah,
this is probably.
I mean, yeah, it could be a good way of getting like fucking, you know, getting. I mean, if you've got 2 serious injuries, it could be better to put one of these on them. Could be cheaper
because then you're getting like 4+ armor. And
what book is all the bionics shit in?
That's in Gangs of the Underhive.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, right. Oh, so they came out in a gang war or whatever.
So brutes can use equipment if they become specialists, right?
No.
And
No.
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 That's not a thing, Liam. No, you're gonna put a Zerker in an Archaeocarapace.
Wow.
Well, they have a special rule that is. Oh no, sorry, that's a brute, right? I was thinking like the hangers on have a special rule where if they take an lasting injury, then they leave your gang. So you're saying you just put them in an Archaeocarapace so they can't take an injury? They can never leave? While you were asleep, we took the precaution of putting you in an Archaeocarapace, and we now control all of your organs. So if you don't type in a secret password every 36 hours, it just shuts down, and only we know the password. So I guess you're just staying here forever.
We've given you a cat to take care of.
And also make sure that we never die because we're the only people who know the password. Alright, Archaeocarapace. What's the next one? It's not as interesting as Archaeocarapace, unfortunately. You've got to do it, Sean. Tell us about this one.
Yeah.
Any exciting?
So Armor Weave, it's basically mesh armor, except you can never reduce it to lower than 6+. So you get this with the updated Xenos, what are they called? Gold Traders rules. This gets added to your house list if you're allies with them. So in the last campaign, I bought this for all my dudes because it's like, what is it? It's 20 credits, I think. 20 credits, illegal 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, having that on your house list, like it's only 5 credits more than mesh armor, and it means you're always getting at least a 6+. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, rolling that 6 and just being like, sorry, Lascannon. Lol. Or like someone with like a fucking Sever sword or whatever. And so 20 creds, and then you can still put a armored undersuit with it, right? So 35 creds, and you got a 4+. Can't roll worse than a 6.
Overlay.
Oh yeah, and then a ablative overlay. Chuck that on too, and then it's like what's that? 50.
And a scrap shield as well.
55.
Don't forget a scrap shield.
All right. Tell us about the Ceramite shield, Liam. I think this is one that Steve's taken.
So it's a big plate of armor that you kind of rip off a tank or something like that. It adds +2 to your save against attacks originating from your line of sight. So, generally speaking, wherever you're looking, as long as you're standing. However, the move action becomes basic rather than simple. And a fighter with the Ceramite shield ignores the effects of the melter trait if the attack originates in their line of sight. So it's a very expensive, fancy way of getting extra armor, but you can only move your one action around, and that's pretty harsh.
And a melter gun can still just fuck you up. It's just that it won't like auto skull you at half range.
The thing that I find weird about this is that it works completely differently to the existing shields that, like the that Van Sar and the Enforcers have.
It's less of a shield and more of
those shields count as weapons, so you have to like have one hand to use them basically. Whereas this one, you basically can still have 2-hand weapons, and you still get to use the shield.
It's more of a pervase, like you just stand it up and it just stands on its own.
But if it is, if it is like a purvase, then surely you should be able to set it up and then move around it and leave it there.
No, it's chained to you.
Like with the Goliath, with how the Goliath have those forge plates that they set up as terrain.
Mm.
I
No, it's just like, imagine just tearing the door off. Imagine tearing the door off like a human oven in a crematorium, and then just like hanging it around your neck with a chain, and then you just lean it on the ground, and then as you're moving, you have to like use one hand to like lift it, but then you can just put it down, and then just like fire a fucking assault rifle or whatever with both hands, but it's still protecting most of your torso from getting like shot in the guts with a melter gun.
Yeah.
Anyway, 40 creds, rare 8. Next one is Gutter Forge. Do you think that Ceremat Shield's any good? Would anyone use it? I know Steve was using it because he was terrified of us hunting his fucking guys with melter guns.
I guess you'd be terrified of that. I don't know, and well, I guess Steve had his dude moving like 10 inches a turn with a basic move, so he's probably fine. I think the movement penalty is pretty bad though.
I think the other problem too is that there's a lot of downside to avoid a very specific upside, and there's another item that's just a little further along that has all the up and no down, and we'll get onto that in a second.
Ooh, sizzle. All right, go to Forge Cloak. So this is essentially, well, I think this is one of the ones that they've kind of changed a bit, where you can add the Gutter Forge Cloak over existing armor, which I don't think it says that.
Yeah,
maybe
this is the earlier version.
Anyway, this is so yeah. It gives you a save of 6+, or you get a save of 5+ against damage resulting from underhive perils or environmental effects, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that would include anything on the perils cards.
Yeah.
So like muty bows, for example, like if muty bows or giant rats, you would get a 5+ save.
Giant rats, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's not bad. It's kind of specific to like a bad zones. Like if there's lots of bad zone shit going down, could be useful. But if it's replacing like your armor, like you're probably, you know,
yeah. Well, that's what I think it.
How much is a Gutter Forged Cloak?
We can move on while I look that up. But
15 creds. I guess it's cool. Like it does look good on like if it's modeled. If you want to model up some ramshackle shit, that's what you want. You Gutter Forged Cloak. If you want to have like some sort of giant like breaching shield guy, that's your Ceramite shield. That like if it's big. If you look at those like the enforcers with the shields and clubs, whatever they're called, the
subjugators.
Yeah, subjugators. If it's a shield bigger than that and you want to model something bigger than that, go grab your fucking Ceramite shield, basically.
Yeah. So I think this is... So they've added this to the house list for Cawdor, which is pretty cool.
And they've changed... And it's changed in the Cawdor book?
I'm just having a look now. But
I had a look at that book the other night, and how they've changed it is that now the Gutter Forge Cloak can be doesn't take up your armor slot.
Yeah.
It just gives you +1 against environmental effects, essentially. Well, let's read read the wording from the new one, because this is something we need to...
Okay, so the new one says... so the new one says the same, except it has added a sentence saying a Gutter Forge Cloak can be worn with other types of armor. So, yeah, you can just put that on top of your other stuff. So I guess, yeah. So I guess you can. The main benefit to that would be that you'll be getting the 5+ save against underhive perils. I don't know. Why would you put that on?
What sort of armor would you put? And how does?
Because it doesn't stack.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, this gives you an armor save of 6+ or a save of 5+ against damage resulting from underhive perils or environmental effects. Maybe you could wear it with flak armor, and then you would get a 5+ save against.
Oh yeah. I guess
you could add the rule from another thing, but not the save from it or something. I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
Because if you're going to wear carapace armor, you're just going to get a 4+ save. So who gives a fuck about that? It doesn't. There's no guidance on how the saves stack with each other as well. Like
Yeah, it doesn't say they stack, so most things say that, so I think it doesn't.
Yeah, maybe it should be like the Armor Weaver that it says, when you save against underhive perils or environmental effects, you get an unadjustable 5+. You know, say if you're playing a scenario where acid drips from the ceiling and you get attacked by, attacks every round.
And that's fair enough, right? Like if it's on your house list, if you want to like invest in some of these things, you're going to get a better save, and it represents like, yes, my Caldor do have better saves against dripping acid and rat attacks because they have to dig through garbage and acid pits like all day, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's just good for for those niche missions and things like that. If you can play some skirmish game, for example, and use some.
I think it's always good to reward players who spend a few extra creds on characterful like stuff like survival gear and things like that.
I think it's pretty like the way they've got it in the Cawdor book is like pretty much all the dudes can get it. I think. Well, like the non redemptionist dudes.
They treat it as cheap
but
armor.
they can't get but they can't get mesh armor for like the gangers and the Jews. So you're either choosing between flak armor that's 10 or Gutterforged Cloak, which is 15. Or I guess you could stack them if you really want to, but so I think in those cases, like Gutterforged Cloak is pretty cool, particularly if you're doing a lot of games with environmental effects, which who doesn't love doing that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, next one up is Mantle Malefica. I've run this one on my Chaos guy once, but never actually ended up using it because it's got some specific uses, which I'll talk about. So, it's basically like Chaos Armor, essentially. Gives you a 5+ save or an unmodified 4+ save against the effects of psychic powers. This like was useless back when I had it because no one else was running Psychers, but now with the new Delac book out, spoiler alert, might be some fucking psychic shenanigans going on. And everyone's like obsessed with like the new like Japanese like hentai team, Psycho Null team with katanas. So I mean, like you can see lots of psychic shenanigans. So might as well, if you're a powerful Chaos man, invest in some Mantle Malefica. You probably want to put an armored undersuit with it as well for that 4+. So the other thing is, it doesn't cancel the psychic power. It only renders the wearer immune to the power's effects. So something that hits a bunch of people just won't affect him, but will affect other people. Well, you get a 4+ save against it. And the wearer at the end of each round must take a willpower check or gain the insane condition. So obviously don't take it unless you have the inured to insanity rule, which you can get from being a hierarchy in a chaos gang, such as Helots or I think Corpse Grinder Cult, maybe the leaders in that have that. And then, or just anyone in a chaos tainted gang apparently gets it instead of just leaders and champions, which is kind of fucking crazy, but whatever. So yeah, how much is that Mantle Malefica? 75 creds, illegal 13. Fuck.
I think if this is supposed to be Chaos Armor, either it should be a little better, or they should have They should have more They should have more variants.
Nothing's pleasing you guys tonight since this like hentai katana team came out.
I'm angry. I'm mad.
Since the katana team came out, nothing pleases you guys.
I think it will be interesting with like the new Delac meta, whether this sort of comes into its own a bit more. Because like the psychic powers haven't really been blowing away everyone.
Yeah, not yet.
So yeah, let's see. I guess there's a potential for it.
Now that you'll be able to run dual fucking spikers,
Alright, here's an example.
Noctgul with psychics and characters with psychics. It's a lot of psychers just taking willpower checks and smashing flesh wounds onto you and shit. Having some powerful 4+
one of these
saves.
example telepathy powers is Terrify. It's a double action. You choose an enemy fighter that's within 18 inches of the caster. The enemy fighter immediately makes a nerve test with a -3 modifier, or they become subject to the broken condition. So, does this armor give them a 4+ save against that effect?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's pretty good.
4+ save against the effects of psychic powers.
Mm.
So, no effect for me, bro. On a 4+. What do they? If they fail, what do they have to do? Take a willpower check.
No, if they fail,
No,
they
they just-
become broken.
Hey, what are other ways of, like, say I want to take this? Isn't there like a Vansar? Like, say I've got a Chaos Vansar gang, and I want to put some Chaos armor on. Is there a way for me to get? Isn't there some insanity?
Yep. There's
there's a skill, a tech skill that's mental mastery, I think.
Makes you immune to
that you
insanity.
There's also bionic.
yeah.
There's also a bionic brain that you can get that does it. And the other thing that you could do is get Aisha drugs that you would inject every game.
Yeah, that could be good. Are there any extra drugs that protect you from psychic shit as well?
I think there is.
What are the? Yeah, I'm just thinking now. This has got me thinking about like protection from the. What's it called? What's the Harry Potter class called? Protection from.
Defense against the dark arts.
Yeah, that defense against the dark arts, Sean. That's what I'm. Yeah, hexagrammatic fetish. Okay, we're gonna get to that. Okay, let's fucking keep going through these things. But there you go, Mantle Malefica. There are ways to get around it. An extra drug will make you immune to insanity, at least for one game for one dose. So you could do that and just keep paying attacks on that. If you're Vansar, then there's a couple of ways of getting around it. It sounds like, or you'd have to take your whole gang into the Chaos Realms.
Yeah, but it is the it is pretty good for the Chaos people who are immune to the thing.
Yes,
Do you
correct.
reckon-
Yeah.
Do you think you could? The 4+ save would be against the effect of a Perils of the Warp.
It just says psychic
Probably not.
effects of psychic powers. Yeah, no, I don't think. Yeah, no, I would say against.
There's an Escher drug called Brain Lock. A fighter under the effects of this stim count as a psyker for the purposes of disrupting enemy psychic powers.
Ooh. So you take Brain Lock, the one that makes you immune to insanity. So you can shut down enemy psychic powers as well, and you've got to save against it. Oh. So because this could be like, if you could be like a just like a fungus farmer in a dome somewhere, and then just like psych slaver teams start coming and attacking you, and you're like, fuck, I don't know what to do. Your only option is to take a cocktail of drugs, put in a powerful chaos fucking armor, and like go and face them down in like close combat.
Yeah. I mean,
And then just
Necromunda.
hopefully wake up. Maybe, throw a dose of Night in as well, just in case shit goes wrong and a pissy inspector charges you and fucking just totally dices you up. But, I mean, to protect yourself from psychic powers, sometimes you need to turn to the dark arts, such as, protection from the dark arts, sometimes you need to employ the dark arts. Everyone knows that. Everyone's read, the Eisenhorn trilogy.
Yep.
All right, next one. Reflex Shroud. Liam, tell us this one.
All right, it's made from layers of reflective metals. Provides an effective ward against energy weapons. Reflex Shroud grants its wearer a save of 5+. It also counts the armor penetration of las, plasma, and melter weapons as 0 or nothing, regardless of their actual AP. Now that is something that you wear compared to a giant, huge slab of concrete that lets you only move once an activation and only protects you against melter.
It protects you in different ways, though. You could use both.
Yeah.
Because you would be removing the melter rule in case they actually did, or you failed your armor save, but you'd be getting an armor save even against like a melter gun, which is normally like neg-3?
Yeah.
Or plasma, which is like, I mean, even plasma is only like neg-2 on maximal. And I mean, las cannon, having a save against a las cannon, which is usually neg-4, is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, but they're pretty rare.
So if you can if you're really like worried about like, you've got a game next week at your mum's house, your mum's basement against your brother-in-law or whatever, and you know that he's got a fucking las cannon, or maybe he's got some kind of like, I don't know, say a shark with a las cannon attached to it, a laser shark, for example, and you're really worried about it, You need to go the rare trading, get the reflex shroud, that gives you a 5+ save, get the armored undersuit, which gives you another +1 to that, so you're getting 4+ armor save. And then and get a what was that other thing? The blade of overlay for 20 credits.
Blade of overlay.
So you're getting a 2+ save against that first las cannon shot. Pretty good odds. 3+ save against the second, and then 4 pluses from then on. So that's going to give you enough time to like run across like a roofscape and get to that las cannon guy and cut him in half. Surely.
All right, next up we got the scrap shield. So it's like an old road sign or something like that. You strap it to your arm. It's very cheap. It offers no protection against ranged attacks, but while engaged, the fighter increases their save by 1 against reaction attacks. So as I understand it, say if you charge someone and you attack them, when they get their reaction against you, you get +1 armor. You get slightly better armor. I think it's something crazy like 5 creds. It's a really great, and
It's
no one ever
15
uses
creds.
it for some reason. Is it 15 creds?
But it is common.
It's
Well, you must be stealing your street signs from somewhere else, because definitely mine are 5. I'm getting the cheap stuff, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
there's
good.
another one that they've added to the Cawdor house list.
Oh, have they changed it?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's the same.
Yeah, it's cool. Like if you want to model, if you want to model a dude with a little Taj shield or a what is it called? What's a little baby shield from D&D called? A buckler?
Yeah,
A buckler.
or a little
or
street sign
or a
something
small
like
shield. For some reason, there's 3 different things. This is the perfect thing to do it with. Boom, there you go. I've got a little, that's a cool look, having a little, buckler and a power sword, for example. Giving you a little extra.
So in the last campaign, I was running the some of the what are they called, Silver Tower Chaos dudes, and some of them have shields, like proper shields, and this was sort of like the closest thing to representing a shield that I could buy, because this was common and we were allowed to buy common things as part of our house list. But it doesn't really represent a shield very well. Well, when you just get it against reaction attacks.
Yeah. This is just like fucking, like Shredder's wrist things, guards with the blades on them. It's like something like that, where you just can deflect like a katana every now and then.
Yeah.
It's basically an Iron Fist from the Ogre Kingdom set.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Just some bullshit. Alright, well, that's all of the armor. Obviously in the book that we're looking in, we've got Paladin armor, blah, blah, blah. Let's get on to the actual equipment.
Do you think you can actually... The Paladin armor has been added to the trading post in the book of... as part of the Book of Ruin.
Has it?
Really?
Paladin
I
armor?
think so.
Oh, you need to double check
Well,
that.
I mean, this equivalent armor.
Oh,
Yeah, because
hardened
this is
black
just
armor.
military armor, right? This is just like whatever the Imperial Guard use.
Well, how much it is
Yeah.
in the Book of Ruin, though, because that might be a different appendix episode you're talking about.
Yeah, well, okay. Maybe we'll keep that for another time. There isn't heaps of stuff, but there isn't heaps of stuff in there, but probably
Yeah,
still.
I will we'll skip it because it's not in our list of armors here in the actual the trading post pages where the price list is.
Yeah, pretty
it's not,
big.
it's not on the price list. It's not on the price list. You can't fucking have it. All right.
But yeah, stay tuned to listen to Book of Ruin.
Yeah, that'll be
that'll
be episode. That'll be part 3. No, part 3. No. Oh shit.
Macro side.
Forgotten the naming convention already. We'll worry about that later. Okay, cool. So let's talk about equipment. Number 1. For some reason, Chrono Crystal comes before Chameleon Cloak in the personal equipment list. For some reason, I don't know why. Obviously, alphabetically, Chameleon Cloak comes first. So let's talk about that one. This is in the Delac list as well, Sean. Are you starting anyone with Chameleon Lion?
I am.
Ooh, who? Which one? What guy?
I've got a specialist with a long rifle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I even I just bought them a Camellia Line cloak back from the trading post before. They could just get it from their house list, but now they can get it from the house list, so I can start with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, so this is another one that no, it doesn't go over your existing armor, but what does it? Now I have to read the thing fast. But yeah, so if you don't move, then ranged attacks against you are -2 to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's equipment. It's not armor, so it would be as well as armor.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yep, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a personal item. Yeah,
Personal
my Delac list, which I'm going with, has a leader with a sniper rifle, a champion with a sniper rifle, and a specialist with a sniper rifle. So I haven't started with 3 Chameleon Lion clerics because that's obviously very expensive, be like 105 creds. But I will, once I start the campaign, one of the first things I'm going to get is Camellia Lion clerics for all of those guys, because it'll just be so fucking hard to hit them. If they're in heavy cover with a digital neg 2, that's neg 4 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Neg 4 to hit.
And
imagine trying to get those guys out.
yeah, and those are the ones that you are staying still with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're just staying there, just casually reloading a bolt action fucking sniper rifle and just putting down rounds.
Mm-hmm. You could even combo this with the evade skill, where if you're just standing in the open, you're getting a -1 to hit normally, and then if you don't move, you're getting -3 to hit.
Ooh, yeah. Hey, what about how does this work with Templar weapons? You would get a really good armor save, right? Because you apply your armor save bonus as your neg to hit, or your cover bonus. Well, I guess it doesn't count as a cover bonus, does it?
No, I don't think so.
So it wouldn't increase your armor by +4.
Yeah, because it doesn't say.
Yeah, okay.
It's a cover bonus, yeah.
So you would just get +2 from the heavy cover.
That's pretty dirty.
What is?
I mean, yeah, most of the time, the person you're putting this on will be in heavy cover as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just imagine my dudes just on rooftops, if you've read there's that book about shit. Now I'm just trying to use my brain. The cop chick in 40K. You know this book, Shira somebody or other, and she's a Arbite, and she has to put down recidivists and shit. And there's a bit where this sniper ambushes her, and they're wearing a chameleonic field sort of thing. They're just super hot, they just look like a smudge against a wall, and they're just trying to shoot her in the face. Pretty good. And I mean, even yeah, I like it. So these are rare 9 and 35 creds from the personal equipment. So I will need to do that for my specialist because it's not Camellia Lion isn't on his list.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Actually, maybe I'm getting confused because I did think that was my specialist. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty easy to get. So, good stuff.
Yeah, it seems pretty fucking powerful, right? Neg 2 to hit. I reckon evade doesn't stack with cover, does it?
No, not with cover, because it only applies if you aren't in cover, or if you're in. I think it's if you're in light cover, you get -2, but if you're in the open, you get -1.
Yeah, right.
I guess it's so. Yeah, if you don't move, if you have to rotate to shoot, that counts as moving. So you want to make sure you've got a good firing line where you don't have to move to face someone else to shoot.
Well, rotating counts as a move.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not facing the way you want to shoot and you have to rotate, then that you have to spend a simple move to turn to shoot.
Yeah, right. So aim action is only really, because that's what I want to be doing, just sitting there, using the aim action, not moving, getting the full cover save, just getting +1 to hit, just putting what's it called? Putting warheads on foreheads.
I I'd make sure that you save for a drop rig for this as well, so that if you get
You can just abseil away.
whatever they do to try and get you, when you fall, you want to not break your legs.
No, that's the thing. Well, drop rig doesn't do that there anymore. Remember, drop rig used to be if you fell, you didn't fall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it does that anymore.
Really?
I believe you can just.
Yeah, now you make a move.
You have to descend. Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Didn't there
You have
used
to
to
do
be?
it, yeah.
I always thought there was something where you could lock on.
There's a grab shoot. Is that different?
Grav shoot's a separate thing. Yeah.
Yeah. What
That'll
does that do?
activate if you fall off. But wasn't there something that gave you a
Yeah.
bonus to initiative checks? You'd like lock on or something? No, maybe I'm forgetting. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. But just being able to abseil away is still pretty good, especially if you infiltrate up on top of some shit or deploy up on top of some shit and there's no real easy way down. You can just go like, see ya. Like that fucking guy. I'm watching. There's a show called Expedition Bigfoot that I've been watching, and one of the guys in the show, one of the research guys, is just obsessed with abseiling. And will just take like any fucking chance to like do a fucking abseil. Like he'll just like, oh, it's a mine shaft. I'm gonna abseil down in there. Oh, there's a cave. I'm gonna abseil in. Oh, we're up on top of a cliff. I'll just come up with a flimsy excuse that I have to like abseil down this cliff. He's just carrying around like hundreds of meters of rope and shit as well. It's just fucking insanity. That's what I think of now every time someone mentions like a drop rig. Fucking guy from Expedition Bigfoot. Alright, what's the next item up? Chrono Crystal. So, as I said before, like I told the story of Bald Brian's Chrono Crystals. I think there's one mission at least, like the execution mission, where somebody's about to be executed. And you can employ a Chrono Crystal in that mission.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I'm not sure it does anything else in the game. And it's worth 500 credits and a legal 14.
500 credits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it could be fun. Like, could be a good point sink if you know that there's going to be a public execution eventually. Like, if that's like the storyline in the last few campaigns, there's always been a big public execution.
That's true.
Maybe go and spend your 500 credits on a Chrono Crystal.
No, I think I might do it.
Well, I do have a gallows that I've got to build. So I mean, if I build,
I think if you buy one of these, you should always be able to like when you need something from your game tyrant, this is something that you can use and say, I've got this time gem, I want this. Can I make it happen?
I want to play exactly the same mission that we played last week against Steve, where he won, but I figured out a way that I can play it better and beat him. So I'm going to demand to use my 500 cred Chrono Crystal, and it gets crossed off your list.
Yeah.
But then the game tyrant is like, damn, I have to grant your wish, sorry. As long as it's a time-based thing. I want to roll back time and replay that game. Or, you know, maybe you're in a game and you just want to roll back a turn. You can just, like, summon your game tyrant and go, no, I'm using my Chrono Crystal, and you, like, crush it or something, or, I don't know, sing a special Chrono song to it or whatever to enable it.
The fluff for this mentions the Auto Chronos.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a mention of Auto Chronos before?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is. And do you know where it is? The Warhammer 30k Talons of the Emperor list.
Oh, okay.
It's mentioned, the Auto Chronos is mentioned in there. As being like one of the so the Sisters of Silence, the Custodes, the Assassin Temples, and the Order Kronos. Oh, and the Order Sinister are all mentioned as being the household of the Emperor.
They've also been there's also an Inquisition school, the Order Kronos. That's one of the smaller ones that handles time-based Inquisition situations.
Mm-hmm.
These one, I think the one in the Talons of the Emperor is called the Order Kronos Templi, like the like Time Knights, essentially. Time Knights, the Emperor's Time Knights. All right, let's talk. So we're picking up Is it tachyon, Chris? Tachyon particles in fucking Star Trek. They'll be like, what the fuck just happened? And someone will go, oh, let me have a look. And some nerd will just get on a fucking touchscreen computer and be like, detecting massive tachyon spike. And then that's code in Star Trek for time fuckery. It's always like tachyon radiation. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the Cred Sniffer. This one's really good. I've taken this in
you've
a few
always
campaigns.
you've always been a champion of the Cred Sniffer.
Yeah, ever since I first saw the Cred Sniffer, I knew this one was one for me. So this thing is, let me sell it to you. It's 35 creds. It's rare 8, so it's relatively easy to get. Costs 35 creds. Every game, as long as the person isn't out of action, who you've got it assigned to, so assign it to, one of your backline fucking nubs or whatever. As long as they're not seriously injured, at the end of the game, they earn 46 credits for their gang.
Pretty good.
Boom. You can only have one in your gang at a time. But there's 46 credits for free, for nothing. And so it pays for itself within a few games. And then you just got like a steady income. And also you can say that you've got a guy with a fucking, like a little metal detector snooping around after the game. Which is kind of cool. I like it. Rare 8, 35 creds.
Yep.
It's not illegal. It's nothing wrong. Nothing illegal about cred sniffing.
Nope.
It's like...
No.
I always wanted to like model it up. I'm sure like it wouldn't be hard.
Yeah. So next one up's a Data Thief. It's it might be an app or a program.
This one's based on the Sharon Stone movie Sliver. Have you ever seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I always think of with this one, the Data Thief. It's just like it's the Sharon Stone 1990s Sharon Stone movie Sliver.
I was thinking more like entrapment, perhaps.
Yeah, they're both viable. Same concept,
Yeah.
just spying on people.
If a crew includes at least one fighter equipped with a Data Thief, at the start of the gang, you can make your opponent randomly reveal one of their gang tactics cards.
Oh, it's Click. I'm so surprised.
Yeah, 35 credits. I've run this one as well. It's illegal though, so it's a bit harder to get if you're law abiding. But I had my Chaos Cult were all about like hacking and shit, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking buy like a Data Thief. We were cred sniffing, we were data thieving, we're doing all sorts of fucking nefarious shit. And yeah, just being able to see one of their cards, especially if there's only 2 cards, for example, you know what one of them's going to be, if they've got that click, not to get your hopes up. Or to try and bait them with like a lesser shot on a key character or something before you fire your fucking plasma cannon, because click on a plasma cannon is a motherfucker. But just being able to, oh, they've got a beast lure. Now I know. And also,
there's
oh yeah.
No, there's one of the new Delac magic powers prevents people from using gang tactics on you. So if you if you don't know what gang tactics they have, it's a bit of a gamble to actually bother to cast that psychic power. But if you know that what one of them is, it's extra insurance. And I think there's like a gang tactic they have that is some sort of figure out what the opponent's gang tactics are as well for Delac.
Yeah, I think this is a good one for Delac. I think like Delac should definitely always invest in a Data Thief. It'd be funny if the Data Thief was in their house list, because it's such a fucking obvious thing to take. It's 35 creds, so it's not like super cheap. But just being able to like just spy on people in the campaign, just tell them that you're spying on them and shit like that. It's good.
There's some super strong tactics cards out there. And knowing that someone's got something like, hey, a piece of terrain is completely set on fire, or
that reminds me. At the end of this, I'm gonna read you a card, Sean. At the end of the show, I got some tactics cards from Andrew Hollis. I'll tell you the story at the end there. We'll finish with that, and I'll read you this card, and you're gonna be like,
well, I mean, like finding out that I've got a beast lord would be something anyone would need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
You can find out how many beast lures. Imagine if you're in a group game and you're the only person who has a Data Thief, and you choose someone who you know might be beast luring, and then you find out they show you their card because they just have to show you. They don't have to declare it to the entire table. You could then sell that information. Like, oh, give me 5 creds, I'll tell you what the card is.
Mm.
Well, Liam, your other favorite tactic is that you know that one that the card came in the White Dwarf, and it's like a music box that you crank the handle of.
Oh, yeah.
That's always a winner.
Yeah. Nice one.
What's it called? Voxbox? Something Voxbox?
Yeah.
I just got that card as well.
Archaeotech Vox.
Archaeotech Voxbox.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So the next one is the falsehood, which is this one's pretty insane. What is it? Yeah. So the fighter that is wearing this can't be targeted by ranged or melee attacks or psychic powers, and they won't raise the alarm in a sneak attack. And it lasts until they make a ranged attack or melee attack. It lasts until they do anything or until the end phase of the second round. So for the first 2 rounds, if you don't do anything overly aggressive, people just can't do anything aggressive to you. This is like pretty good and was pretty popular in one of our campaigns.
Yeah, especially when, So we had Robbie in one of our campaigns take this on his whole Delac gang. This is a pre-House of Shadows Delac gang, obviously. So, you know, he wouldn't be trailed for total war crimes. And so he was able to spend, like, the first 2 turns of the game just, like, you know, maneuvering into good positions and all that sort of thing. I think, though, having played against them, like, Steve had a whole bunch. He had, like, 4 of them in his gang. Like, all of his characters had them, so they were able to just be completely immune for the first 2 turns and then just assault you on the second turn. Because I think at the end of the second turn, on the second turn, you basically, if you're going to be attacking someone, you want to do it in the second turn while you're still protected. By the third turn, you just automatically, people can see you. Robbie, though, had it just on Delax, and so they would be like, I'm on a rooftop now, and then just like, pew, and then break their fucking falsehood, and then fire like a strength 3 las gun that would just bounce off one of my Goliaths, and I'd be like, oh well, or he'd just miss with a shot or whatever. So his guys were just like, you know, you could just run them down and fucking or you could just follow them around and just fuck them up. It just sort of gives you an ambush. I think if you're a close combat on a close combat beast, someone who can move up really fast, that sort of thing, I think the falsehood's really good.
Yeah, so they're 40 credits and rare 9, so they're, you know, pretty affordable.
Yeah, they're not hard to get.
Do it.
Not hard to get, and yeah, you can really like. I think like the best use for them would be to have like a couple of dudes maybe who are doing like if you've got like missions where you have to grab something and run it off the table, for example.
Yeah, my favorites.
Yeah, being able to do that and not being able to be targeted while you're doing it, or like, you know, say there's an ATM on the top of this fucking stack of shit, like, but it's in the open for the enemy, and you can just like infiltrate next to it, operate it without breaking a thing, because you only break it if you charge or attack. Like, you can still be you could be hacking a laptop or whatever, and be totally immune. Get the mission done. Oh, if you're running like what's it called? Fucking intrigues. This is probably like a good one for intrigues, because a lot of those you just have to move to a certain spot by a certain turn or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
the deployment zone of the opponent, or
I'd like to see them like, you know, used for that sort of shit rather than just like mass ambush of people. Like I never even thought, like when he said that he'd taken them, like he'd bought like 8 of them or something, I was like, oh whoa, yeah, I never even thought of that. Like I never considered someone would do that. I always just thought, I'll put one on my fucking Goliath leader, and he'll just run along and then just be like, haha, I'm not a hot dog vendor, I'm a fucking guy with twin lightning claws. I never thought of like fucking mass doing it on like a whole bunch of guys. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I think definitely on the close combat dudes, it makes sense, because I think there's also when you're taking it on a guy that has a decent ranged weapon, you're sort of gimping yourself as well, because there could be the opportunity for you to take a shot and you're going to go, oh, if I take a shot, I'm going to break my cover. No. So I think, that's definitely the optimum choice is like doing the run to get the goods, or on a close combat dude.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Alright.
I think, like, just to finish that off, I think, like, I kind of thought that they might be on the Delac list in an errated form.
Yeah, Delac has a bunch of other ways for doing very similar stuff.
Yeah. But you can team them up. Like, the one, like, for a Nactgul, you can just infiltrate, right? If he can just infiltrate anywhere, and he's got that fucking falsehood, then he's got 2 turns to do a mission.
Yeah. Well, like they've got cunning as their primary skill set, so you can put infiltrate on any of the.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
skills.
Yeah, boom. I think that's like a good, like, really good, like, Delac-y sort of thing as well, like the classic fucking falsehood.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be too afraid. I don't think you should be inordinately afraid of this, and I don't think you should necessarily like ban it from your games, because you know, even though you can't kind of target them easily, you know where they are. Whereas with infiltrate, they appear somewhere, or they, if they're coming through tunnels, or they're using a tactics card of some kind, you don't always know where they're going to turn up. At least with this, you've got a blip somewhere.
Yeah. I don't think it's crazy OP or anything.
No, but it can feel a little OP. But I don't think it's as much of a worry as you might.
One of the things is when we played them as well in that campaign, the campaign tyrant, who I think was Peter at the time, ruled that like you couldn't put blasts on them. So originally, like, we were going to play it where you could just put blasts on them. And so you could still just light up, like, like fucking, it's an old like chimney sweep, or it could be fucking a guy with a plasma cannon. Do I want to take that fucking, like, it's not like we're out here, picking up rubbish, for a church or something. Like, let's just light up that fucking guy in case he's a fucking Goliath with a plasma cannon, for example. So, but Peter ruled that you couldn't center blasts or flamers or anything on them. So I think, like, if you have a campaign tyrant who says yes you can, like, fucking light up that old woman or whatever, then that sort of nerfs it a bit more as well. And it takes away the hopelessness of it, because I think, like, not being able to do anything at all, not even psychic powers, is just like pretty savage. I think you should just be able to, like, drop just do like exploratory flamer shots onto whatever, just like
Why not an exploratory lasgun shot then?
Yeah, well,
Just like,
yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I think it gets weird, but you have to be basically saying, "Oh, I'm not targeting you. I'm targeting that speck on the ground next to you." That's fine.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Why not exploratory lasgun shots?
I don't know. If I've got a gang hideout and some old granny's wandering around near the generator, I'm not just gonna write that off as an accident. I know that granny's up to no good, and she might need a warning frag round.
Start shooting him with your health. What's it called? Bale flamer. All right, let's go. Let's talk about Friends on Color. So I've run this one a bunch. It's really good. It basically gives you, it's like a permanent Friends on effect. There doesn't seem to be any downsides from its use. Like, it's not really sort of explained. Like, you don't have to load Friends on into it or whatever. So it's like, I think Friends on is 20 creds. This is like Analyst Friends on for 30 creds. It's got Friends on gives you a bunch of shit. Number one is you have to do at least one move towards the nearest enemy, or you can do a charge if you think you can reach them with a charge. That's the first thing. Friends on fucking makes you into an idiot, basically. But it also gives you like 4 of the skills off the ferocity table. So it gives you Nerves of Steel, which allows you to take a cool check to ignore pinning. It gives you one that gives you +1 attack on the charge, and one that allows you to roll an extra recovery dice, I believe. Oh no, sorry, it's one that allows. Yeah, you roll an extra dice, or if you're going to roll 2 dice, you roll. Sorry, if you're going to roll 2 damage dice, you only roll 1. If you're only going to roll 1, you roll 2 and choose the least effective one. And then one other skill, which I can't remember. +1 attack. There's 4 of them. Anyway, it's really good. And then the other effect is basically you nominate someone to have a master switch, and if they have the group activation rule, when they activate, you can include those guys as part of your activation no matter where they are. So what I was finding is that my leader, who had made movement 5, was always running off and like having heroic adventures, and so I had I was basically just never using his group activation. So I started putting these on my basic, just like shitbird bullies in my Goliaths. So they just have like an axe and a pistol and a stim slug and a friend-zone collar, and then basically my leader could be wherever he wanted, and I could also activate one or two of those guys anywhere on the table, which could sometimes be like really good, like depending on how you do your activations. You can just suddenly like surge in one area or surge all the way across the table and suddenly take 3 people out in one activation at the start of a turn, for example.
Yeah,
I found that
was really
useful.
powerful when you got a bunch of them.
Yeah. So very, very, very useful. 35 creds. 30 creds and rare 9. It's funny, it's not illegal. You can also, if rare 9 is too fucking rich for you, you can get the drug dealer guy, and that allows you to get all chems and chem-based items for free. So that would also include friends on colors and medipacks and that sort of shit. Chem synths and things, I guess. So yeah, Friends on Color, very good. Have you either of you guys run a Friends on Color?
No.
No, I haven't. I've had Goliath Juves that came with them.
Do they? What? Oh, it's like a campaign
a tactics card or something.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I don't know about that. They might have come with a dose of any chem or something, maybe. Might have come with a dose.
This could actually be a good option for gangs that don't normally have access to the ferocity skills. Because like Goliath do, right? Don't they? Oh.
Yeah. So the thing that sort of informs you when you're doing a Goliath list is if you're thinking of putting your Friends on Collar on a guy, obviously don't bother giving him Nerves of Steel. Like, Nerves of Steel is like number 1 skill for Goliaths, because fucking getting pinned just sucks because you can't charge in combat, and that's where you want to be if you're a Goliath, because you're a giant meat man. So getting that skill is really good, but if you're thinking, like, for example, a stimmer, I would never put a Friends on Collar on like a champion or a leader, because I'm going to be, doing stuff with them. Might give the Master Motivator to one of them maybe, but usually just always my leader. But something like a Stimmer, which is a close combat beast, definitely give that guy a Friends on Harness. But because he already has Ferocity, just make sure you don't give him one of those 4 Ferocity skills that you're getting. The other 2 are not too bad. Like, Fearsome is really good. So if you got a Stimmer, give him Fearsome, give him a Friends on Collar, and then you've got 5 of the 6 Ferocity skills. I'm not sure what is the other one. The other one's...
I'm just looking it up.
Can't even remember. So useless. It's for little fucking pencil neck fucking Orlux, whatever it is.
I didn't realize they were 30 creds. That's a really great price.
Oh yeah, dude, they're really good.
So it's Nerves of Steel, True Grit. Which one's True Grit?
I think True Grit might reduce damage by 1 or something.
Oh yeah, maybe. Then Unstoppable, which is the roll the extra dice, and Berserk, which is the +1 attack. However, all their weapons count as having the Reckless trait.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Don't put it on a ranged guy.
Don't put it on a guy with a fucking the flensing saw.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing's called. What's it called? The reciprocal flensing saw? Rotating.
Sometimes you get a ganger and they're a write-off. They like say their ballistic skill gets stuffed, or you get someone and they get shamed, and their mental, their mental stats are
the
kind of
toughness
gone.
2 or something.
Sometimes we just throw them in the recyc. But you could just go, well, I'll pay 30 creds, give this guy a couple of old blades, and they can keep running out into the middle of the battle, or running down side corridors and
yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying only Goliath should take this by any means. Like, definitely, if you want to model something like Arcoflagellants, just give a guy 2 flails and a Friendzone collar. Boom, you've got a fucking Psycho Man. Like, that guy is not going to quit. He's going to be such a pain to deal with, you know? They don't have to have armor. They can just beat some... the Friendzone collar is 30 creds. How much is what's a bone picker? Like 20 creds, so you're at 50 creds. And then what's a flail? How much can a flail cost? $100, you know, like chucking a flail or 2, boom.
Yeah,
it's pretty cheap, and then you just throw that guy away. Like, who cares? Gives a fuck if he dies or whatever. You know, he's gonna just like run forward, and he's gonna be a problem for the enemy because just like unpinned models just like running towards your battle line, and especially if you wait until right at the end of your activations, just run him out in front of the enemy. And they're gonna be like, oh shit, and then you go, well, time to roll for initiative, chums. And then, you know, if you get the initiative, you just plunge that fucking guy into someone. He's getting an extra attack from the charge. He's got 2 flails, so what's that, like fucking 4 attacks?
Plus that berserk, yeah.
Alright, let's fucking power through a few more of these so we can talk about some of the crazy ones. So, Forged Gilda Seal. Now, this is like an illegal item. This is, like, if you're playing like a good versus evil campaign, this is a decent one to get. It allows you to get reduce the rarity of items by 2, but I believe you have to, and you can reduce the price of any item by 3d6 to a minimum of 10 creds. However, if you roll a double 1 or a double 6 when reducing the price of an item, they've been discovered, the item is bought as normal. However, the seal is then removed and the fighter's gang is declared outlaw. So, you know, if you've got a problem getting high enough rolls, that could be something you look at. It's fucking 55 creds though. Little illegal 11 itself. So, I mean, I don't know, you might be worried about like drug supply or something. Next,
totally what I should have done in that campaign where I couldn't roll high enough to buy the shit I wanted to buy.
Yeah.
I was outlaw already.
Next one we've got here is the Halo device. It's 250 creds and a legal 14, so this is not easy to get. But it's based off like something from it's a good like callback to the old Dark Heresy. Basically what it does is if you suffer a lasting injury, so it's a piece of equipment that you have to have on a character. If they suffer a lasting injury, you can just push it onto another character, another model in the gang. So you can just like, you know, I got my leg shot off. But he's like, oh no, I did not get my leg shot off. You shot his leg off.
Including death.
Can you push death onto someone, can you? Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, there you go. So, great item. That's like a good one if you want to, if you're like a Steve style person who really wants your character never to die, just buy like, I guess like, if you can't get Night, then you just save up all your Night money from a few games. Spend it on a fucking Halo device.
You just keep like a stooge around to take the fall for you all the time, like a 20 cred bone picker.
Yeah. Definitely need a bone picker there.
Yeah. Next one. You want to do the next one?
No, yeah, you take us through this one.
Right, okay, next one's a Harrier skull. This is an interesting one. So it's a kind of servo skull, but it's designed to mess with other people's hunting beasts.
It's like
grapple hawks and things like that.
Yeah.
So if an exotic beast wants to make an attack against a fighter armed with a Harrier skull, it has to make an intelligence check. Otherwise, the attack action fails and is wasted. If the owner of the exotic beast is within 3 inches of the target of the attack, the beast may use its owner's intelligence instead. So I think this is better than people never get to this part of the book and they never look at stuff like this. But a lot of us fight with pets and beasts and
a lot of us fight with pets
stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of pets. True.
I terrorized Nick so much with my grapple hawks that he went out straight away and bought some of these for.
Yeah. And I think that this should also work on like environmental monsters. So if you've got, like, say, a beast lure or cannibal mutants or, you know, what are they called? Lash worms or anything like that. Maybe this can help you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I mean, rules is written not to raw dog you or anything. It only says exotic beast, but yeah, there's definitely like a argument you could make for a giant scorpion.
You'd have to figure out an intelligence for it.
Well, it probably looks like a floating, like, stuffed rabbit or something. It might make like kitten noises or those
something like a plant wouldn't give a fuck, but because it's got no intelligence. But if it does have an intelligence, I think like
maybe it flies around and says things like "Help me, help me," and hey, what about beasts in the dark as well? Maybe it should also count as you're always having a buddy when you're in the dark, so the tentacle monsters won't attack you. They'll try to get the servo skull.
Well, you can have one of these and then also have a Necromundon giant rat pet. Because then if you do run in, something does like pass its intelligence check, like a giant spider or something, and just goes like, oh, that's just a fucking decoy, I'm gonna eat this mammal. Then you just throw your Necromundon giant rat in its mouth and run away.
Well, see, that's why I reckon you even shorten the loop. You have a pet Necromundon giant spider, so that you don't have to worry about your rat getting eaten by the spider. You've already got the pet spider.
Well, yeah, I think it's a decent item. Like something like a fucking grapple hook is what, like intelligence 10 or something. Like we all know that a sump croc is intelligence 11. So
your sump crocs aren't. They're intelligence 9 at least.
Bindi was like 10 at one point. But yeah, so
most beasts are not intelligent.
Yeah, if you're worried about getting like beasts set on you, such as cybermastiffs or sump crocs or any of the cats that like for the lizard cat or the actual cat that Esches have, that could be like a good option. Chucking one of those on, sending that person forward.
All right, next on the docket is the hexagrammatic fetish. So it's any random kind of market stall piece of, junk, like holy statues and...
is this illegal to have a hexagrammatic fetish?
Yeah.
Is it illegal there?
Yeah, a corridor house, that's one of those basic corridor... it's like little statues of saints and stuff.
Oh, it's rare. Yeah, no, I was asking if it was rare or illegal.
Yeah.
So it's rare 10, 35 crats. Okay.
Yeah. So when you buy it, you roll a d6. On a 1, it's trash, although you can sell it for 3d6 credits. On a 2 to 5, it is a little bit special. And if a psyker targets you with a psychic power, the psyker suffers a -1 to their willpower check. And on a 6, it's something real. It works